and thank you again for watching Women Are Talking TV. I'm Billi Martin, and we're going to continue the conversation about Black women and fibroids. This is part 2. Here with me on this panel, this very important and personal panel, Chante Graham. I'm Vanessa Siverls, and on Skype, we have Renee Brown Small. This is part 2, and I just want to go right back into what we were about to touch on, dietary choices amongst the younger women who are who have fibroids. I don't know. Dietary choices. But we have older women who had fibroids who grew up in the 50s and the 60s, and during the times when they discovered they had fibroids, they just had a hysterectomy or they just lived with it. They also had healthier food options that we do now. McDonald's was probably in the millions, not the billions yet. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if it's a dietary choice or is it a we're now in the everything is microwaved, everything is really quick fixed type of meals that we're not doing the homegrown ourselves type of thing unless you have that budget, because being a vegan is expensive. So do you really think that because younger women are getting fibroids is because of that, or is it because they're just not caring to take this seriously?
I'm sure Renee can speak to the research aspect of it, but just from what I know with hormones, the estrogen levels in your body, if they're stimulated or if they're affected in any way, whether it's uterine fibroids, whether it's anything else that has to do with your reproductive system, your hormones they can go left, right, up, down, and it can have a major effect. So if you're eating, you mentioned earlier about chicken, chicken that has the added hormones in it and that have steroids. Because it's not just they're doing
antibiotics.
And even if the chicken is organic, the mass production of it, in what condition is the chicken when it dies? So it doesn't even have to be pumped with anything. Is it stressed out to the point of? Again, I don't have the full research on it. I'm sure Renee can speak to that a bit more, but it's scary that the mass production of the foods that we eat is you just don't know what's going on.
It does contribute to it.
I think it does. Renee, do you want to speak to that on it?
Absolutely. So from what we've heard from the various physicians that have spoken to us and nutritionists, diet definitely is an issue, and definitely when a person cuts down on meat and dairy. Mm-hmm. And Billi, I think you may have heard this when you were on our call last week with Dr. Oswagwu. She talked about that as well.
Yes.
Cutting back on more of the dairy products, the meat products.
Yeah, and she also mentioned
and then focusing more
fresher
on
vegetables
on the greens and vegetables and fruits, and how that they have seen that women who have had fibroids, either the symptoms have gotten less or have become less, so to speak. One thing I've seen, though, which I thought was interesting, is that women around the world are getting fibroids. And it's not only in the U.S. where we have mass production of everything. There's a lot of other countries where the food isn't as mass produced, and women are still getting fibroids, but specifically Black women in the Caribbean, in Africa, and countries in Africa. And then we get a lot of feedback from women in Europe and women in England. So across the world, where some of the foods may not be as mass produced and as pumped full of things that we're allowed to do here in the U.S., and they're still getting fibroids.
Let me ask you something on that though. Do you think? Well, I have my opinion on this, but do you think because of the large amount of women with fibroids being of African American and Latino descendancy, do you think it's not as important for people to know about because of it? People see it as a culture thing. Because I feel like for an example, breast cancer is across the board, affects everybody, right? I remember growing up, you know, with black women who had cancer and whatever the case may be, and they were not as attended to as our white patients who suffering from cancer. It's an across the board issue amongst culture, but with this particular one, it's it's mainly us. It's mainly us.
Right.
So it's like, is it an importance for the world to take seriously?
Yeah, I think that it should be. I think, but it starts with us.
It starts with us.
We
yeah.
have to have these forums. We have to
Starts
talk about
black
it.
men knowing this.
Right. We have to.
Stephen.
You know, with the world of social media now, it's easy for us to get the word out
Yeah.
and start having people pay attention to it because it's becoming such a big issue.
And
I
I'm
would agree
wondering
with that.
about when you're mentioning the minority, the masses for minority women. I don't know the research, but I know stress has a lot to do with the symptoms. So as you mentioned earlier,
Huge
women from years
contributor.
ago had it, but their symptoms may not have been the same as what they are today. And our symptom, we're the loudest, we have the most, but because our symptoms are off the charts.
Yes.
So maybe that's what's contributing towards, if it's stress levels, if it's diet, if it's those things, and it's contributing to the enormous symptoms, the harsh pains. I don't know, Renee, if the statistics for white women, Caucasian women, outside minority, are the symptoms different?
Yes. Well, the symptoms are the black women definitely have more symptoms. We have them more drastic, so to speak. So, like you said, with the bleeding and the pain and everything else, we get it more from the research that's been done. We get it more than white women do.
Well, but could that
and
also
more
be
women,
because we're reporting them more?
Or maybe
No.
maybe stress level,
It's not
economic.
Well, the stress level, that's a given. They ain't stressing like me. I mean,
Well, that's
you
what
know
I'm
they're
saying.
saying
I'm
that we're
wondering
more
if there's
stressed.
a link. There's the stress is
I'm sure my life would be less stressful if I was whatever.
Stress
but
directly
that's another
affects,
show.
you know, regardless of what disease you have, stress directly affects it.
Yep.
And it heightens it and enhances it. So maybe, you know, hey, we already know the economic differences.
But-
We already know the social differences between black minority women and Caucasian women. That they may not be, they may have it, but they may not be suffering with it as bad as us.
But I can't say for my case that I was extremely stressed when I got fibroids. Like I will attest to the diet, but I wasn't going through anything horrendous where it was overly stressed, you know. So I can't say, speaking for me, that it was stress related. You
I
know,
can say
that
that.
was my cause.
You know, our stress dates back 500 years.
I mean, if you want to talk about vibrational stress and spiritual stress, yeah. But I mean, you know, that's a given. That means we'll have it for the end of time. We'll always have them, and
Right.
generations to come after and after and after. So I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, that's what I always
And we
wonder.
also handle stress differently.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I know for mine, yes, stress is 50%.
But then once you get them, then that adds to the stress because
Yeah.
now you're stressing over
Even
them.
more.
And then there's
Even more.
economic
Right.
factors that play into it as well.
Right.
You know, if you don't
And
have a certain
financial.
exactly, if you don't have certain health insurance, or
Right.
if you just go to the regular clinic, like I was just during the break speaking to Renee, right before my surgery, I had a massive bleeding episode, and now this is 10 years in, so I know what's going on for the most part. And I was told blatantly within 5 minutes of being seen, listen, if you don't stop bleeding, we're gonna have to. You know, we have to cut you. We have to take it all out. So it's like that
Wait,
then and
what
there.
did your dad say when they said that?
I just looked at her. She was young. She was a Caucasian doctor, and I just looked at her, and I had to process that she was able to say what she said so easily, and as if it was nothing. But
Which
you know,
does
if I
not
didn't
help.
know, what I know about it, that the amount of stress. I haven't had children yet, so
Yeah.
that can take a toll, like you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. She better be glad my mama wasn't in that room. That would have been a
I
whole
love the
different scene.
500 years of stress. Now that is hilarious.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I think everyone should. There is a doctor, and she does some phenomenal research. Her name is Dr. Ebby Stewart, and she is out of the Mayo Clinic, and she did a lot of research and she also looked at the breast cancer factor. I can't remember all the details of her research, but it really, went back to women in Africa, and understanding kind of like the genes and the genealogy behind everything. And one of the things that she noticed was that when Billy, I think he talked about 50, women in the 50s and 60s, something that's different is that they would have children at 18, 19, 20, early 20s, late teens, whereas a lot of us are waiting longer to have our children. And one of the factors, or not having children at all. And one of the factors with fibroids, one of the things that we've learned over the years is that women who have had children are less likely to have fibroids. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of like another factor thrown in there, that most of us are now career women. We're waiting a little bit later to our late 20s, early 30s, or mid or late 30s and 40s. To have children, and so that's why it also differs with the amount of us that are having fibroids versus the folks in like the 50s and 60s who, yes, they did have them, yes, they did, get hysterectomies because that was the only option they had at the time, but there probably were less of them because they're less likely to get them if they have children.
Ooh, okay. I want to elaborate on that in just a few minutes. We will be right back. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Remember me? I'm Billi Martin, producer of Women Are Talking TV. Previously, I asked for your help with spreading the word about Women Are Talking TV. Help me spread the word on Women Are Talking. There's no better promoting tactic than word of mouth. This show is something we need to have talked about. And you did just that. Women Are Talking was nominated for 2 Be Free Awards. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I couldn't have done it without an awesome crew, who I love posting pictures of on our Facebook page. Anywho, the invitation is still open to you. Yeah, you and all of your family and friends. I plead with you to continue to spread the word about Women Are Talking TV. We're creating a movement to move away from cattle TV. What I mean about cattle TV, well, think about it. Are you tired of the random TV and online shows of women just running their mouths, fighting each other and not saying anything? Remember me saying this? What's mainly shown on TV is that we're money-hungry, fame-whoring baby mamas whose only dependence is determined at the hand of a male figure in some form or fashion. For many of us, that is not our reality. For the others, well, I'd rather talk about them on the show. On Women Are Talking TV, I want to provide you with a platform to talk to each other, not at each other. Where can we start? Right here. Sharing, learning, teaching, and most importantly, listening. I invite you all, men and women of all shapes, colors, and cultures, to join me on Women Are Talking TV. Share your life successes and failures with exciting panelists as we all discuss ways to grow as individuals and as a whole. So join me on this panel or in the audience. Let's talk. Thank you for watching. Okay, and we are right back, and I'm going to, elaborate on a comment that Renee mentioned about the not having children thing. After my first myomectomy, my doctor was like, when we getting you pregnant? Do I gotta send somebody? Like, what needs to happen? I need you to get pregnant. That's it. I don't want you to get these fibroids back. You need to get pregnant. You need to get pregnant. Yada, 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 yada. In today's time, we all about our careers. We trying to blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And we don't, some of us, that's not a priority in our lives. But going through this, yeah. I kind of wish that I did, I don't know. I had my first daughter when I was a teenager, and I didn't have another one, for a long, long, long time. And that contributed to my fibroids. It was after my research and talking to the doctors and whatever. It was because basically I wasn't using my tools, and that's what happened. It came out of it. I know someone who doesn't have children at all, and she just had her second myomectomy.
Wow! But why is that? Why?
She's not using her tools.
But why is that causes us to have them because you don't get pregnant?
That I would like to get more information on, Renee. That's what I would like to get a doctor's input on because, there are women who can't produce and still have a normal cycle and do not get fibroids.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what's the disconnect that I'm missing?
I don't know. Me, I always thought of
I
them
don't
as
know
little
either.
blood suckers that
Yeah.
they'll take up space, and whatever is causing them, they take on they act like they're the baby.
Yeah.
And your uterus is nurturing it, and your diet is nurturing it, everything else is nurturing it.
Yeah.
And all it does is it spits in your face the same nutrients that you're giving it. It
Yeah.
just spits the blood back out. I don't get it. I mean, I'm really excited for one day for us to really figure out how and why.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I had my son at
Yeah, I
25,
agree.
but I didn't get mine till later in life. I had got mine when I was like, when I turned 40, like a few years later, I had fibroids, but I never had any issues. I'm not sure how long I had them, but I just know that as my periods progressively got worse, that's when I was diagnosed with them. But I don't know how long, they were growing before then.
My doctor mentioned that during pregnancy you're not on your cycle, so it's not feeding the fibroids.
Right.
And that helps either shrink them or like it. And then when you give birth and whatever, depending on where it is in your uterus, if it's outside, if it's in the placenta, blah blah blah,
Right.
it can come right
It
on
pops
out.
right out,
Or,
yeah.
So that helps prevent them from reoccurring during multiple pregnancies.
Right.
But still, I know of women who have them, and either, to say it in layman's terms, the fibroid one,
Yes.
or it was a part of the birth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, pregnancy is not the cure, because I'm not gonna stop popping babies out every year.
Yeah, I don't think that's the
I'm not
cure
doing it.
either.
I'm not doing it. So
Yeah, and women also need to know the options if they are a candidate about potentially freezing your eggs. I know
Yeah.
that's a whole nother topic, but that's what was brought to my attention, that may be something I want to think about, because like you said, you can get rid of them, but it doesn't mean that they won't come back.
Correct.
You can manage your symptoms, to where you have zero. I was one of the fortunate women. I'm just so grateful. For years, my main symptom was being anemic, and you can compensate for that with diet. If you want to eventually have children, you may want to consider, and it's what I'm considering now myself, is to hold on to my eggs. Maybe I'll have them with someone else, but at least I have
Right.
a shot
You have an
in the
option.
event that they do come back.
yeah.
I know there's research that's been done, Renee, that the older you get, the less progesterone, the less estrogen that you produce, the less that they feed. So a lot of times they
Right.
shrink after menopause, and or they
Yes.
may go away completely. But
Yeah.
you can't have kids at
Yeah,
that at that age.
Yeah.
So
And sometimes they turn into tumors, cancerous tumors, because I know someone who had them and they developed cancer
That was
from
a
them.
serious scare
Yeah.
when you told me that.
yeah, I
was a
didn't
serious
know.
scare.
Yeah.
And I always
And they don't.
wondered.
And not all the doctors know that part. Like it's so scary to know I have to be asking more
Yeah.
questions to the doctor than the doctor's delivering answers. That it's scary
Yeah.
What's scary?
Fear.
to know that you have more questions than their answers.
Yeah.
Very
It's
scary.
unfortunate.
And that's why I
Yeah.
appreciate your project, what you do, because like I wish it was around.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
wish
me
it was
too.
around, like phase 1 and phase 2. Well, it was around. I just wasn't aware of it. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, we
good now.
definitely want to do that so that women are aware, and we could get as many doctors as possible to talk about their expertise in their research and what they've learned and what they know, and just share that so we can just be more informed and just have, be better advocates for our health.
And also we talked about younger women earlier, but get younger women eating healthy from the start.
yeah.
And opting for healthy food choices. I know once I had my surgery, I started to put all of these, I bought that NutriBullet and fruits and vegetables and all of this stuff, and changed
Trader
my
Joe's.
diet totally. But
and for nothing else, if it does nothing else, like we said, one of the major symptoms that can be life-threatening is the anemia.
Oh, yeah.
And juicing and eating
Yeah.
rich iron foods that are rich in iron can really help build your blood back up, and that right then and there can make you feel almost 50% better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
While they're waiting to get
That's
a cure.
true.
Absolutely, absolutely. But that also that would be easy to do if prices of healthy living
Yeah.
was more affordable.
That's another thing.
Or if you live on food deserts
You know,
like
yeah.
me.
and when we're talking about the differences between different races of women, certain women may have the opportunity to eat better compared to in more dense urban communities where they're being sold specifically junk.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm sure in my neighborhood, every little girl will have fibroids because the stores are filled with nothing but sugar, sugar, sugar. No fruits, no vegetables, no fruit stands, and those things contribute to, I mean, not only that, but obesity and all types of things, but it's the diet.
Yeah.
And, education, I think, is the most important thing.
Making them aware that it's a problem for them, not just that we, for us, but for them. And it starts now for them to want to do something about it.
Right.
Yes.
So let me ask all of you a question, and I would like each and every one of you to answer it. This is an example. I'm 30 years old. I'm not 30, I'm actually 40. But I'm 30 years old. I just found out I have fibroids. I want to have children. It's something that I always wanted all of my life, but I know no one who has ever, experienced the removal of fibroids. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think, as long as my stomach is still small and I still look good in my red dress, I'm fine. I'll worry about having children once I'm married. You and your journey, what advice would you give her?
You want to start?
Yes, I I would tell her immediately to think about options as far as what it means on two fronts. Options as far as the management of her fibroids, if she's going to remove them, to ensure that she can have children immediately, because you get pregnant immediately once the fibroids are gone. But then again, you may not have a partner in your life at that point in time. So there's the second thing is, like I mentioned earlier, you may want to consider freezing your eggs.
At 30 years old.
You may want to consider. I mean, that was going through my mind for the past 10 years, and it's insurance. It's insurance, but definitely the immediate action on, if you don't want to have the surgery, because you feel like you're okay, you don't have heavy symptoms, I would definitely tell her to explore her options and consider freezing her eggs if her main goal is to have children.
Chante?
I would say just to monitor your symptoms regularly. Like, don't just, and get different opinions, don't just go to one doctor, see different doctors, and, if they tell you need a hysterectomy, go somewhere else, but just stay on top of it. Like, don't let it get to the point where you're bleeding, you have to take hormone pills, because these are the things that can happen. So just stay on top of your health, be proactive, don't just say, oh, it's going to go away, because it's not going to go away. No. They grow. And eventually either you have to get them removed, or, you don't have another option, and then you go straight into menopause and you can't have kids.
Right.
So my advice would be just to stay on top of your health. Get them checked out every couple of months, and don't just think it's going to go away, because it's not.
Renee?
I would echo that, to definitely get on top of it early and monitor them very closely, and to absolutely get multiple opinions. I got, I think, 4 or 5 opinions before I ended up at Dr. Russell. So definitely get multiple opinions. And if you don't feel comfortable with a doctor like Vanessa was talking about, just walk out the door and find someone else.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
And I would also, recommend doing the research to find out the various options for fibroid removal, because it's not just the quote unquote the surgery anymore. There are multiple ways that women who still want to have children, still want to keep their fertility intact, can have fibroids removed in a minimally invasive way and help with the symptoms. And yes, I do know that people who have had fibroids could have more fibroids, and that's exactly what my doctor told me. And I know, Billi, that's what had happened. That's what has happened with you, and you've had to have multiple myomectomies. However, a person should absolutely take control of it now, because again, with the research, we saw that African American and Black women wait longer, and then as we wait longer, we have more and more issues. We are more and more anemic. We're more stressed out. Some of us can't have the more minimally invasive procedures because the fibroids are now grown so big. So definitely take control of them earlier, sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. I would also tell that 30-year-old that it's okay to ask questions. Don't be ashamed. Don't feel like you have no one to speak to.
Agreed.
It's okay. Talk to someone. If that person doesn't give you the comfort that you're looking for, seek outside of your home if you need to, because there is a support system that's out there for you that can help you in any and every way possible for you to get through this decision. It's not something that you have to go through by yourself. Please know that. It's not something you have to go through by yourself. I have to say, I wish we could talk about that. Oh, you know what? I never asked about your experience dealing with fibroids sexually. But that's another conversation.
And on the next show.
Yeah,
but that's another conversation.
Part 3, 4, and 5.
But I gotta say thank you so much. Well, that is our time, ladies. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Be sure to check out Chante Graham's programs on Brooklyn Free Speech TV and YouTube. Follow the Fibroids Project on Twitter and Facebook, fibroidsproject.com, people. This is a great network group for women experiencing fibroids. And thank you for watching Women Are Talking TV. Just a reminder for you to join us on Facebook and Twitter and subscribe to Women Are Talking TV on YouTube. In the meantime, if you want to share your story regarding fibroids, please do. Email womenaretalkingtv@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you. Until next time, thank you for watching New York.
Felicia.